I'm going to briefly share my journey and the adversities I faced that led me to third eye activation and spiritual awakening in the fall of 2005. For those who have been experiencing or suffering from intense anxiety and the depression that comes with it, or those who are sensitive to energies, empaths, for example, you may find this video insightful. Believe it or not, there is a purpose to our suffering, and ultimately its sole purpose to lead us to awakening. When I say awakening, I mean this. We come into this world and we take on an ego, and that ego operates between past and future, third dimensional consciousness. Now, it does serve a purpose initially. It gives us contrast to our light. It offers us an identity, but it also creates personal suffering when left unchecked. But there is another state of awareness, the dimension of inner stillness, that we can tune into and embody, where we actually transcend the thinking mind. The thinking mind is actually silenced. And when you are in that alignment, you experience the inner peace that comes as a reflection of inner stillness. So let's begin. Between the ages of 19 and 33, I experienced some pretty intense anxiety on a daily basis and the depression that comes with it. Despite trying the conventional route for a few years, I found not only no relief, but no answers. Years went on, and I graduated from my dental program in the United States, only to discover in the year that I graduated that my one and only brother had been diagnosed with cancer. He fought that for a year and passed away in 96. His passing shook me to my core and left me asking so many questions about life and why things happen the way they do. Fast forward a few years, I had gotten married only to see that marriage fall apart within 2 years. The year after my marriage crumbling, I was given a cancer diagnosis. This was 2004. Now, you would think that would be enough to spark a shift in consciousness or an awakening, but I hadn't created that white-hot desire yet. It was in the fall of 2005 and my experience with a night terror that was the final catalyst for my awakening. I had been staring at a book by Dr. Daniel Amen, Change Your Brain, Change Your Life, and I eventually purchased the book. And I don't think I got past page 62 or 66, and there was a phrase that went along the lines, when you allow negative thoughts to go unchallenged. That actually struck me deeply, but I didn't think much of it, and so I left the book on the passenger seat of my car. On this particular day, November 7th, 2005, I had a patient cancel, and I did what I normally would do. I would jump in the car, drive a few blocks, and just try to decompress. On this particular day, I glanced at the book and then began to reflect on that phrase. And in the instant that I reflected on that phrase, not a male or female voice came up through my chest audibly and said, "Challenge your thoughts." And in that instant, a force, the third eye, activated between my eyebrows. And in that instant, it began to shut off automatic negative thought. It was doing it for me. I remember turning my head and experiencing profound clarity. Believe it or not, I still had a patient to get back to, and so I went back to the dental office, finished that patient, still experiencing now this activated force that was shutting down the thinking mind for me. By the time I finished work, it was now raining, and it was actually a pretty heavy rainstorm. I remember getting home and feeling emotionally spent and feeling that I was coming towards a state of sort of surrender. I jumped on the couch and said, "Just let me die." And in that instant that I uttered that, I popped out through my chest. What I mean is my consciousness or my awareness left my physical body. I don't know how long I was gone or where I went at that moment, but when I returned, I was not only feeling lighter in every way, but I understood and knew what had taken place. I had remembered the reality of inner stillness and the present moment. Within a few weeks, I began to experience automatic writing, and by December 2005, I had held my first seminar on consciousness and the dimension of inner stillness. And by Christmas 2005, I had written my first book, Challenge Your Thoughts. Since then, I've gone on to write The Healing Frequency, Open Your Third Eye, Cosmic Contact, which details my experiences with UAPs, and I have a book coming out in the fall, Finding Your Calm. When I reflect back on the adversities that I'd faced for those 14 years, the setbacks and the challenges, I realized that there was a purpose in all of it. And what it is to crack the shell of the ego so that we can become the greatest version of ourselves. So know that if you've been experiencing intense anxieties or the depression that comes with it, it's not a character flaw. You're on a journey to awakening. And the journey is to awaken to the dimension of inner stillness.